What's up everyone, and if this is your first time, welcome. So it seems that we've hit a turning point with the traditional comic book movie, and that is Joker. If you're interested in seeing my written review, please make sure to check out my letterbox with a link in the description below. In short though, I thought this was a one-of-a-kind film in regards to reality meets the world of superheroes. Joaquin Phoenix's performance was Oscar-worthy in my opinion, with a very unsettling story and disturbing atmosphere, all while paying homage to other classic films from the 1970s and 80s. But that latter part, that's what this video is all about. There's a beauty and artistry that happens when one film takes inspiration from another. So with that, here are 4 films that influenced the making of Joker. Number 1, first and possibly the most obvious one, with director Todd Phillips even stating it was an inspiration, is Martin Scorsese's 1976 neo-noir thriller Taxi Driver. 3 elements come to mind when connecting both films: our central characters, the setting, and how the film reflects the times of their releases. In Taxi Driver, Robert De Niro, who is also featured in Joker, portrays Travis Bickle, a 26-year-old discharged Marine from the Vietnam War who now feels isolated and depressed, resorting to a taxi driving position while later plunging into insanity in the world around him.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
While during this time keeping a diary with many phrases and thoughts that includes the known quote, "You're only as healthy as you feel." This in turn with Joker follows suit with Arthur Peck, a mentally ill individual that is at the utmost disregarded by everyone he comes into contact with, and with that also later plunges into insanity. Peck as well keeps a diary, but more so a notebook of jokes for his stand-up gigs, which also contains a very quotable line that stands out: "The worst part of having a mental illness is people expecting you to behave as if you don't." The setting is the second element of inspiration. In Taxi Driver, the setting is in New York. In Joker, it's Gotham. New York in Taxi Driver is presented in a very run-down and corrupted way, and the same can be said for Joker with Gotham. Joker uses the grittiness of New York that Taxi Driver did and presents it in a fictional world that feels disturbingly too real. Both films have that neo-noir visual flair to them, makes it appealing to the eye and haunting at the same time. Lastly, what Taxi Driver does in its post-Vietnam world of distrust and uncertainty is what Joker has done for today's age of the seriousness of mental illness and paranoia we face in the world. The environment that Travis experiences in driving around New York in his cab mirrors the harsh reality Arthur faces in his slow demise into insanity while trying to live an everyday life. Number 2 is the king of comedy. Another Scorsese picture released in 1983, this black comedy film stars once again Robert De Niro, this time around playing an aspiring but deranged comedian named Robert Pumpkin and his kidnapping of his favorite talk show host in order to be the star. Now this movie may not be as extensive as Taxi Driver, but a big influence of this film into Joker are the aspirations and obsessions of TV personalities and television media itself. In Joker, Arthur is obsessed with talk show host Murray Franklin, who is of course once again played by Robert De Niro, a role that De Niro even said pays homage to his character in King of Comedy. Joker's influence off of this film borrows elements of how media can warp our thinking, and without spoiling the ending of Joker, Arthur's act on camera is just as impactful as Pumpkin's 15 minutes of fame when he confesses to the audience that he in fact kidnapped his adoring host, with everyone laughing in reaction thinking that it's just an act. His response?
Now, tomorrow you'll know that I wasn't kidding and you'll think I was crazy. But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.
Number 3, A Clockwork Orange. This 1971 crime film from Stanley Kubrick presents a violent and unpromising look at the future with our central character Alex at the helm of its core with his love for what he calls ultra-violence.
We filled around for a while with other travelers of the night, playing hogs of the road. Then we headed west. What we were after now was the old surprise visit. That was a real kick, and good for laughs and lashings of the old ultra-violent.
What makes Clockwork Orange such a strong influence over Joker is first and foremost the violence that is present in a dark and unhopeful world. Whereas Joker, it is in a fictional world of Gotham, Clockwork Orange, it's in an unforeseen future. But both bring a reality that we can only imagine but can't help to believe that it's real. With Clockwork Orange's disturbing imagery and environment as well, Joker may have possibly used these elements of this film to take advantage of its harsh, eerie world of Arthur Fleck and his ultimate fate in Gotham. Lastly, number 4, Network, a personal favorite of mine. This 1976 satire on the persuasion and influence of media plays a reasonably big part in Joker. With King of Comedy, it dealt with the obsession of media. Here it's dealing with the persuasion of audiences. In Network, we find Howard Beale, played by Peter Finch, an anchorman of UBS Evening News who comes to find out he is getting fired due to declined ratings. He then shares with the audience that he plans to kill himself. After this confession, he goes back to apologize on the air, but instead goes into a rant that in effect causes ratings to skyrocket.
So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!"
The heads of UBS, played by William Holden and Faye Dunaway, use Beale's anger to their advantage to keep the ratings, this coming to a climactic, tragic end for Mr. Beale. And this is where Joker comes in, and that's the influence of media overpowering society. Arthur's unintentional act on the subway begins this string of events that go into utter chaos by the end of the film. And once on the talk show with Murray Franklin, he confesses that he killed those men on the train. The power of Arthur's influence persuades most of Gotham to retaliate in Arthur's defense. Social media, in the end, is a powerful tool that both Network and Joker present its unfortunate outcomes to it. But these 4 films I highly recommend if you haven't seen yet. 4 movies that I feel brought great influence into the making of this movie. But if you like Joker, and if you're interested in the 4 films that I mentioned, I can also recommend 3 other films that also hold some influence to this movie. 1973 Serpico, starring Al Pacino. 1980's Raging Bull, directed also by Martin Scorsese and also starring Robert De Niro. And 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, starring Jack Nicholson. But I hope you all enjoyed my little segment on what influenced the making of Joker. If you enjoyed this and want to hear more from me, don't forget to consider clicking on that subscribe button so we can talk movies, TV shows, and more, where anything is possible.